What are the two things that infomercial king Kevin Trudeau did wrong that landed him in prison? Hi, I'm Andrew Henderson, editor-at-large of NomadCapitalist.com, where we share tips on finding more freedom, more prosperity, and a better lifestyle by looking beyond your own borders. Now, if you're not familiar with the story of Kevin Trudeau, he spent years, decades, hosting infomercials on natural cures, weight loss cures, how to get free money from the government, etc. And he was always being pursued in the U.S. by the Federal Trade Commission for making these claims that they didn't agree with, and eventually signed a settlement agreement with them to not make any more false claims. Well, a couple of years ago, Kevin Trudeau hosted a infomercial on a book that he wrote called The Weight Loss Cure. And he said that his weight loss cure was easy. And the FTC sued him based on his previous agreement, and they fined him $37 million. And just recently, they found him in contempt of court, and he's now serving a 10-year jail sentence for basically making false claims on an infomercial in a book that he wrote. Now, in my opinion, freedom of speech in the United States is on the decline. When you look at the countries around the world that have greater free speech and greater freedom of the press, according to the independent agencies, the list of countries that are more free than the United States are shocking. Jamaica, Surinam, Guyana. I put a whole post on my website about countries that you've never even heard of, and if you have, it's for a bad reason, that actually have more freedom of speech than the United States, which is somewhere in the 30s around the world. But there are two specific things that Kevin Trudeau did wrong that I believe are what ultimately were the straw that broke the camel's back. And these are lessons that can apply to really anyone watching. Here's mistake number one: living and doing business in the United States. Now, this seems a bit glib. Andrew, why can't we live in the United States? Well, the first part is the doing business in the United States. There are 7 billion people around the world. And most people, including Kevin Trudeau, targeted 300 million of them in the United States for their products. If you're a business owner, if you're someone who's an entrepreneur, if you're an investor, if you're doing anything where your goal is to make more money, if you're engaged in the capitalist system, the United States is becoming more and more a hostile place for you to be. Just look at the things that the government has done. They've racked up a $17 trillion debt. They're adding to that debt at the rate of almost $1 trillion every single year. And they haven't learned their lesson because they want more spending, more wars, all the things that racked up that huge, unheard of debt in the first place. The U.S. government is going out and putting massive regulations on everyone from big banks to small entrepreneurs. They're going out and using their police forces and FBI to go and raid businesses like raw milk farmers, natural supplement producers, all sorts of businesses, all the way down to local mortgage companies who have never been convicted of anything of court, are not doing anything wrong. The U.S. sends their police forces after them. And the reason, I believe, is because the U.S. has not only become a police state, but it is a bankrupt country where someone has to pay the price. If you have any means, if you have any money at all, or if you're trying to make money, you are the enemy. And this is what I believe is part of what is one of the mistakes that Kevin Trudeau made. Not only doing business in the United States, but merely living there. You look at the tax regime that is imposed on people who live in the United States. If you live in New York City or Los Angeles and you're self-employed, you're paying as much as 60% in total income tax at the top rate. If you live across the country, you could be paying as much as 50%. And the government is piling on more and more taxes, including a 4% healthcare levy under Obamacare. They're forcing people to buy things like health insurance. It's becoming more and more expensive to live in the United States, and I believe that they're really trying to discourage entrepreneurship, discourage businesses, discourage anything else that makes money. And if you do succeed, even despite all of their new regulations and new taxes, they will make you pay for their failures. That's mistake number one, is focusing only on the United States. But here's really the bigger mistake that Kevin Trudeau made. Now, if you read a lot of the court documents, as I did, involving Kevin Trudeau's case with the FTC, They made a lot of allegations about offshore bank accounts, offshore corporations, offshore trusts. For example, Kevin Trudeau's house in California was actually owned by his company in the Isle of Man. And so people have come to me and they said, Andrew, you're the nomad capitalist. You talk about people opening offshore bank accounts and opening offshore companies and diversifying their affairs so that they can pay very little or no tax, or that they can start a business and make money a lot faster than they would in the United States. Andrew, you talk about all these offshore concepts, but why is it Kevin Trudeau is now in prison because of his offshore strategies? And here's the answer. Recently, I hosted a conference. People paid as much as $2,000 to attend per person. And this conference was held in Las Vegas. It was 3 days long. I had people fly in from all over the world, including Peter Schiff, who you've probably seen on CNBC and all over. And one of the concepts that kept coming up at this high-dollar conference for lead investors was the concept of hide-and-seek versus show-and-tell. One of the allegations that the prosecutors and a lot of people made against Kevin Trudeau was that he wasn't forthcoming in who owned his companies, in the assets that were held offshore, etc. Now, I don't know about Kevin Trudeau. I think a 10-year sentence is ridiculous, and what the government has done is draconian, to say the least. I'm not commenting on that, but what I am saying is the government believed he was hiding money. The goal of going offshore really isn't to hide money. When you look at all the laws that are put onto Americans these days, it's virtually impossible for an American to open an offshore bank account. Yet it's 100% legal for an American to open a bank account as long as you do the proper reporting for that account. I believe that the U.S. government is trying to send a message to people like you and I that they can't go offshore, that they can't take their money offshore. And again, I believe that's because the U.S. government is broke and they want to confiscate your money. They want to take it from your retirement accounts, they want to take it from your bank accounts, they want to tax you more, and they want as much money in the country as possible. I believe that within 5 years you'll see some sort of retirement account confiscation going on in the United States. Because it's already happened in Poland, it's already happened in Ireland, in Hungary, in countries all around the world, where the government literally confiscated money from retirement accounts. And of course in Cyprus we saw they just literally took money from people's bank accounts. But what they're doing with Kevin Trudeau, and this is the mistake he made, is trying to have any kind, is allowing the government to think that he was hiding money or hiding ownership of his companies. That was their allegation. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But that was the allegation, that he was hiding. The idea when going offshore is to fully announce everything you have to the government. And here's why. There's nothing illegal about moving your money offshore. In fact, it's advised. I help people do this every day. Because when you move your money out of the United States, you can earn higher interest rates. For example, I just talked about one opportunity that I was looking at where you could earn 5% interest just on your US dollars, or up to 15% interest on foreign currencies, just in a bank account. Not an investment account, but a bank account. When you move your money offshore, you have better opportunities for your money. You can participate in different kinds of investments. When you start a business offshore, you can minimize or even eliminate your income taxes. Imagine keeping every dollar that you ever made. When you live overseas, you enjoy better quality of life, lower costs, more luxuries, less of a police state. These are all the things that the U.S. government doesn't want the people to know about. They don't want you to know about it because they need you to stay where you're at. They need you to keep running your business where you live. They need to keep going to your job where you live, paying your income taxes, keeping your money in the country because they're broke. They're going to need every penny they can get. And I believe they're looking at people like Kevin Trudeau and saying, here's a guy who we think is hiding something from us. We think he's not telling us every offshore bank account. So let's make an example and let's scare people into thinking they can't go offshore because we know it's to their advantage to go to another country. We know that if someone puts their money in Singapore rather than the United States, the banks are much safer. That's a statistical fact. We know that if someone puts their money in another country rather than the United States, they can earn 10 times the interest on their money. It's a fact. The government doesn't want you to know these things. They scapegoat people like Kevin Trudeau, and they use the whole offshore thing to make people think that offshore bank accounts and all this are illegal. I want you to know that it's not. And so here's what I want to share with you right now. I said that I recently had a high-dollar conference for elite entrepreneurs and investors who wanted to learn everything there was about protecting their money and making a lot more also. Now at this conference, Peter Schiff was there. He keynoted at our event, but we had about 20 other speakers talking about everything from which precious metals were much better than gold for appreciation. We talked to people who told you exactly how to fire your boss and replace your entire workplace income just by creating your own online business and working from wherever you wanted. We heard from people who talked about how to open an offshore bank account with $500 just to create an escape hatch for your money. We heard from people who talked about offshore trusts as a way to protect your money from ex-spouses, from creditors, from government confiscation. And most importantly, I mean, all the strategies that we talked about were just as applicable for someone who has $10,000 as they are for someone who has $10 million. Now, people paid $2,000 per person, and they flew to Las Vegas, they got a hotel, they paid for all their meals, and they learned this information, and the people who came to the event ranted and raved about the material that they learned. One gentleman at our VIP dinner came up to me and said, I would have gladly paid 5 times the amount that I paid to come and learn this information because that's how valuable it is. It's helping me not only save the money that I have, but presenting to me offshore investment opportunities to make a lot more money. A lot of the people I talked to at our event told me that they're making these tiny, minuscule returns in their bank account. They're making 0.25% interest or 0.5% interest. They're not growing their money. They want to learn how to grow their money. They're afraid of the US dollar with $17 trillion in debt. They're afraid that the US dollar is going to collapse and their money will be even more worthless. And so I want to share with you a lot of the secrets that these people learn paying thousands of dollars to come to Las Vegas and sit in a room with some of the world's most brilliant offshore minds. I want to share with you these secrets to not only protecting the money you have, whether that's $10,000 or $10 million, but also making more money. Secrets to finding financial freedom. Secrets to freeing yourself from your job, your geography, whatever it is that you're looking for. There is a secret to manifesting those desires in your life. There are ways, like I said, to make a livable income from the beach in Thailand. There are ways to earn much, much, much higher interest rates on the money that you're making. If you're an investor, there are places where you can earn much higher yields on things like real estate. There are private investments around the world that are not subject to many of the regulations that investments in your country are subject to, that you can make a lot more money than the stock market and mutual funds and other things that I think are going to crash the minute the world wakes up and realizes that funny money and money printing isn't a way to prosperity. I want to share with you all these secrets that people paid thousands of dollars to learn, but only difference is you're going to be able to learn them from your living room couch. Basically what I did was I hired a Hollywood film crew to come into our event all 3 days at this weekend in Las Vegas and to film everything that we did, to film every speaker, every one of the expert panels that we had. The entire thing was put on film, including Peter Schiff's keynote speech, and I'm now creating a 9 DVD kit for everyone out there who wants to learn the offshore secrets of the super wealthy. All the things that were only available to the private jet flyers and the ultra elite, the people who stayed at the Four Seasons. They were the only ones who could get this information before, but now I want to make it available to everyone because these are things that you need to know to protect your money, to protect your family, and to protect your future. I believe that the U.S. government and the U.S. dollar are heading to zero with a bullet in the next 5 to 10 years. And when that happens, the U.S. police state, the U.S. economy, everything in the Western world will change. Your opportunities will change, your future will change, your ability to retire will change, the way you raise your family will change. And that's why I travel around the world to dozens of countries every year to find the best places to go and protect yourself, to find the best places to bank, to find the best places to invest. That's the information I want to share with you in this 9 DVD kit. Now you can look below and you'll get all the details on how to get your hands on this 9 DVD kit. You're not going to pay $2,000 or $4,000 plus expenses as the people who came did. You're going to get a big discount to learn this stuff from the comfort of your home. But more importantly, when you get that DVD, when you get that 9 DVD kit in your hands, you're also going to get a special VIP invitation to join an elite society that I've created. A society of entrepreneurs and investors who are looking around the globe to better themselves, to make more money, to protect their money. These are people who have been very successful in their lives, and they want to get together and share their secrets with each other. And so when you get the 9 DVD series, which you can order below, you're also going to get this very special invitation to join me and these people in meetups around the world. We get together for dinner in Singapore. We get together and look at investments in Central America. And we share our ideas with each other. That's what you can be part of. But it all starts with getting your hands on these 9 DVDs, learning the secrets that wealthy people have used for years to become even more wealthy. Those secrets are now available to you, but I only have a limited number of these DVDs. We only printed so many, and when they sell out, they sold out. Because what I do is limited to a certain number of people. We don't want everyone just to have their hands on this stuff, and so when the DVDs are gone, they're gone, and after that, I won't be able to extend the free VIP invitation to our secret club also. So click below, get your hands on this 9 DVD series, and learn these secrets now, and begin making a transformation in your life to more prosperity and more freedom.